Yeah,
yes, you were Bob. Yeah, good job, Bob.
I believe Bob has
You can be the scientist helper today, Robert.
Anyways, continue, Doctor.
I think Bob's up 1-0 in
Holy
smart
shit! Wait,
questions.
Andrew, are you a doctor as well?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh well, fuck. Hold on. What are we?
Have you ever wondered what it's like to grow up in the 80s? NES sitcoms and where's the beef ladies? Then you need to listen in your car or at work. Now it's time for Keith is a Jerk.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Keith is a Jerk. This is a super special one. For starters, we have everybody tonight. That's pretty cool. That only took 19 episodes to get us all on the same... We're not even in the same room.
Nope.
And we can't organize this. So I'm Keith. We got my co-host, Ryan. What's going on, Ryan?
I enjoy the way you work it. No diggity.
Oh, Jesus. It never gets better.
No.
God, it's getting awesome. I think.
It's just tighten up your butthole and wait for his answer. We got Derek. What do you say, Derek?
just a simple hello.
That's all it takes. Dave, what's going on, Dave?
That's right.
Yep. And we got Bobby. What do you say, Bob?
Heyo.
And today we got our special guest. I know, right? What? 18 episodes? We're going to get into the guests already?
Yeah,
That's
I know.
how out of stories we are.
Yeah, we actually had somebody willing to join us. We've got Andrew Lewin with us today. Andrew is one of the leading voices in ocean conservation. He actually has his own very successful podcast called Speak Up for Blue. And unlike ours, his is actually listened to and respected. What the fuck is that like? Andrew Lewin, thank you very much for joining us today, buddy. How you doing?
No problem, man. I'm here because you told me you were going to pay me, so I'm waiting on payment.
Rates will vary. We'll see how
Guys,
how funny you are.
I thought we agreed no plugs. We can edit this We can edit this out.
So I guess, what are we talking about then? We're going to talk about all things marine biology?
Yes.
We are going to look so fucking stupid.
Well, that's the
today.
idea. Keith had this great idea a while ago. Let's start bringing in some experts to kind of accentuate how fucking dumb we are.
For the record, my expert was a stripper. That's the first person I said we needed to bring on. I thought that was going to be funny. I did not know I was going to look this stupid today.
Yeah, we were
That's
going to
gonna
talk
make a
about like first times, and Keith wanted to bring in a stripper, and like that is where we're going with expertise. Not like, all right, yeah,
So unless you banged Andrew as your first time, I'm not sure where this goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can speak to that, but I can. we can go down that route if you really want to.
Now, Andrew, can I ask the first question? What's your stage name?
What's my
Best song to come out to, Pour Some Sugar on Me. Is that one still holding up?
absolutely?
Oh, you know you're getting an old stripper if you hear that music start up.
What kind of strippers are in international waters?
I imagine Andrew's probably got like a nautical theme, like "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" by TLC.
Nice.
Yeah,
Come out
got a little
dressed as
starfish over the
Captain
nips.
Sparrow. You know,
Nautical Disaster by the Tragic Lady.
Come sail away with me.
Oh shit, Andrew, to be honest, I think we have a new gig for you.
Yeah, we've pretty much written this for
I have
you.
a new career. I'm already looking up how to become a stripper. You can.
I don't think you need to
Google
look that
right?
up. That just sort of happens to you.
Usually when your father leaves.
Although being on this podcast is setting you on the right
I
path.
think
I
so.
was going to say, usually with podcasts, I assume there's kind of some, reciprocation. Like you be on my podcast, maybe I'll be on yours. After this, I'm sure Andrew's going to be like, we're good. Please don't ever appear on ours. I have a name in the industry.
Yeah, this was fun, guys. I really appreciate it. But
if we could wrap this up, I've got a male stripper set in about an hour and a half at 11 o'clock. So
Okay, Andrew, thanks for coming by,
How
man.
sad is that stripping? How bad is it that Dave would still be the saddest stripper at a strip club? That would be bleak.
nickels do not stay in waistbands that easy.
Oh,
terrific.
yeah,
Where do we
he does
begin?
the Sounds of Silence is Dave's stripping song. Amazing. Okay, so I don't know. Let's talk about marine biology. I'm excited about this because I genuinely don't know much.
Yes, and
So
that's...
do you just swim all the time? Is that your job?
I wish I did. I wish I did swim all the time, but I
Do you
don't.
dissect birds and worms in like the water? Is that what you do? Because I know my
No.
biology class, that's what I used to do.
That's what she did. Yeah, they don't. You see, the funny thing is they don't tell you that you end up working in a cubicle as a marine biologist most of the time. You end up going in the field sometimes. I had some great work. I lived on a boat for like 8 months. It was fantastic. But
You and I have different versions of great.
well, I had
So hold on, maybe we should try that then. Okay, let's go around the room. Everybody just pick one thing that they think Andrew does in a day.
Yes,
On
I
the
wanna
day-to-day? Okay.
Yeah, let's do day to day. Go ahead, Ryan, you start us off.
I assume he wakes up and like talks to fish like
I'm going
Aquaman.
to pause you right there. No assuming, you go in hard. You commit hard to what you think Andrew does.
I know for a goddamn fact that Andrew can speak to whales.
Okay.
And, doesn't always know their name, perhaps, like a lot of sport, champ, pal, stuff like that. It's embarrassing. And, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Well, started off in grade 7 improv games.
Great job, Brian.
Derek, what do you think?
Yes, and.
Derek, what do you think?
I think he skates on turtle shells. Just across the ocean surface.
2 for 2.
Okay, Bob, what do you got?
I don't know. Are you some sort what level of explosives training do you need to blow up whales on a beach?
funny enough, that's one of the questions.
I'm having a hard time moving on right now. Davey, what do you think? What do you think? Give me something Andrew does in the day.
Well, I'm not going to make it easy, like the classic, like Costanza, like walking on the beach and taking Titleist Pro V1s out of a whale's blowhole. What I imagine that Andrew does is he starts his day off like any scientist. Well, he'll go through his logs and his notes and different things that he's going on, and then I think what would happen then is he'd make his way down to a wharf or some kind of inlet lake,
Beachcomber-like scenario.
yeah, and at that,
These are words I've heard of, yeah.
and then at that time he would proceed to either trap and torture or try to woo mermaids.
Okay, so can I ask a serious question here?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Andrew, is part of your job, I'm a moron in everyday life,
know.
and especially with this, but is part of your job maybe tagging animals and tracking these animals?
No.
No, it's not. Okay.
But that's probably the closest out of all of you guys.
Yeah, you remember?
Are you a legit scientist?
I am a legit scientist. I am
Like
a legit
Batman.
I feel like right now, like, remember our first grade 9 class, like the first grade 9 biology class, and like I feel like Andrew right now is the teacher sitting up there just looking and listening to the stupidest questions you could possibly, like, no, that's not it. No.
It's like, really? Really? That's
We will
it?
not be building
All right,
a
you know what?
lightsaber, no.
I'll ask a legit question, Andrew.
Okay.
How absolutely past the point of fucked are we when it comes to our ocean?
That's a good one.
Ooh, heavy hitter right off the bat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we might as well get political.
take it easy on Batman.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You've heard of Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's a fish, right?
Yeah.
I know he's not much for like.
He's got a blowhole. I'll see myself out.
Yeah, I know that. I think that he said that like letting different runoffs into rivers and streams are good for the environment.
Dave, please give us the answer when the marine biologist was about to.
No, this is good. I like where this is going. This is the idea. We're supposed to offer our bastardized opinions of what we think are facts.
The best part is Dave asked the question, and then Dave answered.
It's like a CNN. It's like a CNN town hall.
More like Fox News.
Anyway, Andrew, sorry.
Yeah, no, we're pretty much fucked. We're like at this point, if we continue the way we're doing, we're pretty much fucked. You're gonna see some islands disappear. You're gonna see a lot of houses destroyed from storms. Fisheries collapse. We'll be eating plastic. We in fact sometimes do that we don't even know about. Yeah, we're pretty like the way we're going. We're on a good pace to be pretty much fucked.
That's nice. That's
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. As a nihilist, I accept that answer.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I don't believe you either.
Is that part of the I guess the problem with everybody, Andrew, is because I think smart people like you and scientists, you use terms like if we continue down this path.
Yeah.
Whereas only stupid people like us understand, hey, you fucking idiot, get your hand off the goddamn fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think if maybe if it was presented like it's over, that seems to be the only time. Like, I remember when they did that with the ozone, right? Like, they're like, hey, dipshits, there's an actual hole here.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's it. It's not, if we can, you fucking ruin things.
Yeah.
But then everybody's like, oh shit, okay, put away the hairspray, put away the hairspray.
Yeah.
Try to fix it. So is that maybe the issue? Or, I mean, obviously I'm summing up the entire world's problems in one little thing.
No, it's
Elegantly.
it's true. It's nobody believes scientists anymore because they just don't want to. They're like, nah, we're fine.
It's
We're
a
fine.
really weird
It's
time, man.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like, no, the Chinese are just doing it to mess with us. That's what they do. So we're not going to believe you. And if you
Well, first of all, that's a fact. Second of all, maybe you need to dress up like Batman to tell people these things.
I think you do. I think you do. Well, that's why I'm looking forward to Aquaman to come out, right? That's the marine biologist's dream right there. Is
Yeah, you guys are putting a lot of eggs in that Aquaman basket.
they're honestly
gonna
there's
do what
gonna
Top
be-
Gun did for
there's
the
gonna be
Marines,
scientists
basically.
putting in subliminal messages into that movie. You guys are gonna figure it out after that, being like, yeah, okay,
That's probably a
we're
good
fine.
idea.
I gotta say, Jason
hope
Momoa
they
is
do.
a really good pick, though. Jason Momoa, like he'll make me believe anything. That guy is beefcake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what Dave wants in a scientist.
Well, it sounds like Dave wants in that scientist.
Apparently.
Aquaman, yeah.
So is that your thing, Andrew? Like when you were a kid, if you're a scientist, did you identify with Batman or Aquaman? Who was your guy?
I wasn't in.
Like, did you always want to be like a marine biologist?
Yeah.
Or
No, I was ever since like 14 years old. Saw I did the classic, like, saw a Jacques Cousteau film, and I was like, that's what I want to do as
Wow.
as when I'm an adult. That's I want to go swim. I want to scuba dive everywhere. Dreamt of it. Did all the we didn't have internet back then, so I basically read. Which is weird now.
What?
I know, it's very weird. Bought books, read. I had to go to
Jesus.
the library, take a book out, and
You are a
read
scientist.
That. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I
it
did
was,
these.
It was crazy.
I did the same thing with Carl Sagan, and that's why I checked out a long time ago.
Something I was kind of curious of. I saw a report recently about. I know there's a island.
Ooh, a report. Ooh.
Somebody showing off.
There's an
Something
island
scrolling through a
there's
Facebook feed is
islands
now a
in
report.
the different oceans that are growing of plastic, and I saw there's a kind of a discovery recently where there's a certain type of worm that's actually able to eat and digest the plastic to try to help that. Is that a thing?
That is a thing. There is like a couple of species of worms that do eat plastic. But you got to
Problem
remember,
solved. We're good.
You got to remember these islands that people are talking about. What do you guys? That's a good question. What do you guys picture when you picture these islands? Like, what do you picture of these islands of trash? What do you think is in there?
It's a soupy mess of disgustingness, and it won't it's something absolutely has to be done about it.
I think it's like Castle Grayskull, but like the actual size in the ocean.
I was gonna say Cybertron.
But what do you
My
think?
brain
Like,
went there too. As soon as they started talking about that and worms, immediately I was picturing like this crazy metal island
Yep.
and like cybernetic worms coming up and transforming, and they needed to get more. What do you call that shit? The Galvin.
The Transformers power source?
Yeah, whatever that
Oh,
stuff
what
is.
the fuck? I can't remember. Like,
Just ignore them,
Neutrons
Andrew.
or something. It doesn't matter.
Can
Doesn't
Andrew
matter.
continue on with his answer?
Sorry.
No,
Andrew, please.
he's
That's
interrupting a debate.
Save the world.
this is good. I'm writing notes of how to talk to people.
How to talk to stupid people.
Like
Not a
no,
terrible
because
plan.
I'll tell you-
Transformer power source. Got
Honestly,
it. Yeah.
Andrew, I will tell you right now, you start every one of your seminars, your talks, you do a TED Talk where you say, this is how Transformers are ruining the ocean, and everyone I know is going to fucking stop and listen.
Absolutely. No, but
Plus, there's that new one coming out. You get some tie-in, you'll be all right.
Like what items do you think are in these like islands of trash?
Well, I saw one of the protesters that would like. It was funny. I was watching one of the protesters, and like in her can of pop that she was standing with had a straw in it. So I
Yeah.
imagine it's mostly like straws and like those kind
Yeah.
of small plastic little
bottled water.
Yeah.
Plastic bags.
Yeah, plastic bags, like plastic bottles, the caps for the bottles, lighters are everywhere. But a lot of things, people are thinking like it's big items like that. It's like somebody said it. I don't know who did, but somebody said it's a soup. It's like it's such small like little shards of plastic that have been broken down. So they're everywhere. Now these islands, they're like ocean current systems. So there's 5 in the world in the oceans. There's one in each area, and they just
For each ocean. There's 5 oceans, right?
basically, yeah. So it's in each ocean, and it's these big circulations, and they just gather all this plastic. But that's where they're concentrated. But they're everywhere. They're in the Great Lakes. They're in the oceans. They're everywhere. And in fact, there's a study that just came out that showed that there's actually 20% plastic in sea salt, because the way they make sea salt is they just grab, literally, they grab sea salt, they dry it, but in that there's plastic pieces that have bound to the sea salt, and so now when you have sea salt, you're actually
I eat a lot of sea salt.
Andrew, why don't ruin Miss Vicky's for me, please.
But that Italian guy or whatever it is, he does the thing off his
salt bag.
forearm. Yeah, and
Hey, guys,
everybody
just
likes that.
guys, just a really important aside. I was the one who said soup.
Yeah,
Yes, you were, Bob. Yeah, good job,
I
Bob.
believe Bob has
You can be the
So-
scientist helper today,
Anyways,
Robert.
continue, doctor.
I think Bob's up 1-0 in
Holy
smart
shit! Wait,
questions.
Andrew, are you a doctor as well?
No, I'm not.
Oh well, fuck. Hold on. What are we?
Guys, honestly, a little aside. Who the fuck called Andrew
Derek's
a doctor?
almost a doctor. Jesus.
Who just called him a doctor?
No, no one did. Oh wait,
Bob, you lost your
someone
points.
did.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Bob
Bob.
was up 1-0. Now it's 0.
Wait,
Yeah.
he's a fucking scientist. Is that better?
Yes.
I don't know how that works. I don't know rankings. Obviously, once it passes cartoon guru, I'm unaware of
It
civility.
equates,
Yeah,
to,
it's
it
both,
equates to this,
Right,
and I only say this now until I need a doctor to save my life. But scientists trying to save the world, doctors taking money for drugs.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
That's how I look at it.
Now, if there was a big company out there telling you, yeah, never mind, I got nothing.
I'll tell you what. This is how,
I can actually hear you slide the soapbox underneath you there and then just put it away. Like,
this is how I look at it. This is how scientists look at it. When we compare like doctors and medical doctors, they make way more money than we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right?
I've seen Big Bang Theory. I know.
Yeah, they make way more money than we do.
Yeah, it's
So
like
my-
that Chappelle bit.
What if you take your experience and draw a little cartoon character, and then you could also be a marine biologist with a hit franchise?
Hey, man, that works. Or
Yeah.
just act like you know what you're talking about and be on TV and go have a
That part
Netflix
doesn't matter.
special.
Yeah, get yourself on Bill Maher or something.
Yeah.
Or this podcast.
Andrew, I have another serious question. Believe it or not,
I like it.
I know you don't. Okay, so the soaps and the body washes with
Yeah.
those little micro beads, is that kind of the stuff that you're talking about? Like
Yeah.
that's very dangerous stuff, and we shouldn't be using that.
Absolutely. And in fact, a lot of places around the world are starting to ban them in products. So like your toothpaste,
Okay.
soaps, and stuff like that, they're starting to get banned. 'Cause
Toothpaste as well?
Toothpaste, especially toothpaste, yeah. All those
Right.
little like
Oh,
grittiness, like you know how when you have like toothpaste, you feel that grittiness on your teeth. Those are the microbeads, and they don't break down. So you spit it out, that goes down the sink. It doesn't get taken out in the wastewater treatment plants.
what do you
and it
mean
goes right-
spit out toothpaste? What is?
You're not supposed to eat the toothpaste, Ryan.
I'm telling my wife that the scientist said I'm back to brushing my teeth with Coca-Cola.
Yeah, as soon as I'm out of that Costco pack, I'm quitting. I'm
just
not
throw it
going to
all right in
buy
the
that
garbage.
anymore.
Yeah.
His soul is dying every time you guys answer a question. You know that, right?
You guys,
love
Dave
it.
separates himself from us. I love it.
Okay,
I'm over
Andrew,
here.
Andrew, I have another serious question.
I can hear fucking Bob typing these questions into Google that he can ask.
And this, I mean, I hope this doesn't hurt your soul at all, but can you name, like, going back to like the origins of how you became a marine biologist and
Yeah.
you know the circumstances around that? Can you talk a little bit about like at what point you hit your absolute low and decided to befriend Ryan?
He pulled me out of a tank at SeaWorld.
Yeah, you know what?
involved-
If I want to trust you as a scientist, I also have to trust your judgment.
Yeah, no.
He just loves lost causes.
It's a one way. Well, we save the whales. We try and save Ryan.
He just found out
Only with like
Ryan
a
considers him a friend.
Very, that's a simile.
Right. The only problem is we're doing well with the whales. We're not doing so well with Ryan.
I keep finding my way into plastic bags.
How the fuck are you two friends? Wait a minute.
It involves a lot of
I
drink.
understand how you and I are friends. I don't have a clue how you two are friends.
Have you ever
I'm not
been in
clear
a
how we're
haunted
friends.
house with Ryan? Yeah, that's it.
Literally killed the little guy. All right, what else? What else can we talk about? This is fucking crazy. I didn't think we were gonna learn this much shit.
Do you want to turn the tables? Because
Yeah.
you thought of
Yeah.
a game where, like, Andrew's going to ask us some questions
God.
now.
Okay, yeah.
And we have to either
Bob,
answer.
turn off your fucking Google, you cheater.
I'm not googling things. Although I did
Then
just
turn
press,
Nikki off.
Listen, I did just press mute.
No problem there.
He does that every day,
on our
Keith.
thing.
Don't worry about that.
I did press mute because I had to burp a lot, so I did. But I only pressed mute on our chat and not on the recording. So that's going to show up at some point, Keith. Just letting you know.
Appreciate the FYI.
I'm also a sound engineer by trade.
So, actually, you know what, Andrew, in your astute opinion, I just want to get heavy one more time. What's our timeline for being able to make sure that California and Miami Beach and whatnot are still maybe around in 50 years?
Okay, Dave is clearly worried about paying his credit card debts right now and whether or not he has to do it.
Yeah.
18 weeks, would you say we have? Or?
I would say
I'm with that opinion. I think, to be honest with you, every scientist should be like, all right, so we're done now, and watch the reaction happen, because everyone's like, Al Gore gave a timeline. Like, if we don't stop this in like 10 years, to me, I hear something in 10 years, I am like getting a bag of Cheetos and straw. Like on the couch, like, all right, I got 10 years, I'm good.
I'm fucking Dolphins just for the next couple weeks at least.
So, like, what's your hard line? What do you think?
Well, I would say for Florida, I would say.
No, we don't give a shit about Florida.
Yeah, nobody
that's
does.
a hard one to start
well,
with,
Miami,
right?
Yeah.
Well, Miami, like, just because it's below sea level, like it's gonna
Okay.
go. I would say probably 50 to 100 years. California and like the West Coast, I think it's really gonna depend on the big one, the earthquake that's
Right.
supposed to be
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
That's the big one, and then you look at potential tsunamis. In fact, true story, I had a friend that lived in Oregon on the beach. Literally, like, his backyard was the beach, and he moved because he talked to somebody that works for the USGS who told him that the big one is coming, like, within the next 15 years.
God
And
damn
he
it. Yeah.
So he moved his house. He looked at the models of where the tsunami would hit, and he moved his house about 20 feet away with the prediction that he's going to have beachfront property in 20 years.
That's
smart,
an investment.
Yeah.
See,
That is
I've always
Doomsday real estate. That's amazing.
This is what scientists are doing, people.
Brilliant.
This is why you need to listen to scientists. This is what we're doing. We're figuring out what the hell we're doing wrong. We're going to get rid of half the planet with you guys not listening to us, and then
investing
we're gonna have
heavily in
prime real
property.
estate.
Now,
Yeah, prime
having
real estate.
said that property might be worth something, but what about, like, I know Fukushima just hit California shores now, right? Like,
No.
No, it hasn't hit yet?
Well,
That's right, Dave.
the debris has hit,
Okay.
but there's no radiation.
Oh, all right.
That's a big fallacy. There's no radiation. People, I love this. I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is one of those stories where you're just like, okay, the cuckoos are coming out.
Well,
There was
I'm
a-
worried because California has, like, it produces most of the vegetables and shit that we eat
Yeah.
here in, like, in North America, right? So, like,
right.
and I kind of want to know, like, if the romaine lettuce I'm about to eat has
Yeah.
going to make me grow a third eye. I'd like to know.
That's
Well,
false. I've
it's-
never seen you eat lettuce in your fucking
Yeah.
life.
Is that where the Twinkie factory is out there?
You work at a steakhouse.
First of all, it's not going to be because of radiation. It's probably going to be because of the pesticides and the shit they put in it. So I wouldn't worry about radiation.
I've
in that
developed an
respect.
immunity to that. They've been doing
That's
that for
good.
years. I'm okay.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. No, but
Andrew, do you see what you're up against? You're fucking idiots. I checked out when you said 50 to 100 years. I'm like, oh, who gives a shit? Dave is straight up telling you he has superpowers to stop your science.
When you said 50 years, Keith seriously went online and got a reverse mortgage, man. He doesn't fucking care.
I think I drank pesticides once, and I'm still here. I'm doing great, so I'm okay.
Sorry, continue though. This is fucking. I should not be stopping you. You're trying to save the world.
No, it's
but
fine.
shouldn't we have somebody who knows about earthquakes? Like, you work in the sea.
Yeah, no, well, but you got to worry about earthquakes because you got tsunamis from earthquakes, right? Big 2004 earthquake in Indian Ocean, and then it just wiped out like people on three different
Keith,
continents.
you're aware that earthquakes happen underground too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then it causes big waves called tsunamis, and that's what you got to worry about, right?
Guys, just a little personal to it.
Right.
I was on a cruise when the nuclear thing happened in Japan.
The what?
I was on a pleasure cruise. It was an eco cruise.
But when the what hit?
When the
Fukushima.
Fukushima thing happened.
So when the tsunami happened in Fukushima,
That's
happened
correct.
after.
I was in the middle of the ocean on a. Well,
Were you in the Pacific?
It wasn't
Great.
an eco cruise. No.
You were in the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific?
Yeah, but I still feel like I got something.
Because if you weren't in the Pacific, this story really means nothing. You just told us you were on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Or were you
Well,
like?
I wasn't telling you I was just telling you to impress you that I had money enough to go
that's
on
right,
a
yeah,
cruise.
yeah.
I went on a cruise.
I'm impressed.
Okay.
I'm
I
very
just wants
impressed.
to brag about his money that he had to go on a cruise.
Hey, I got it from my paper route.
That's all right.
Sorry, Andrew.
I'm
Andrew,
waiting
please.
for someone else to tell me that they were in a bathtub when it happened. Is that what's going to happen next?
I was in a bathtub on my cruise.
On the cruise, okay. No, so to continue on, like, people are freaking out that radiation is hit, and there was a couple of stories that came out a couple of years ago where they were saying, so there was a map that was shared online.
Right.
That was basically showing a bunch of red and orange, like this blob of that goes from Japan all the way to the North America, the west coast of North America, and it was all this like red colors, and it covered like most of the Pacific, Hawaii, and all that, and they labeled it as radiation. And
Okay.
everybody freaked out, and it just coincided with two things. One, in California, there were a bunch of like infant deaths in hospitals for some reason. The other one where there were starfish that were literally wasting away and dying. It's a disease called starfish wasting disease. So they said, well, it must be the radiation that's coming over, and then they showed this map. The thing is, the map wasn't. It was about the tsunami, but it wasn't radiation. It was wave height of how the tsunami caused like the waves across the Pacific. So it had nothing to do with radiation coming across, and they debunked it, but of course people just kept picking it up, and it comes around once a year usually. We never know when it's going to come, but a bunch of scientists basically get online and we just yell at people for believing in this and to say, no, this is what it really is. And they don't believe us. We shout at them. They shout at us. It's a lot of fun.
And I like.
So you're doing basically the equivalent of everybody when their friends all freak out on Facebook, like, I do not give consent to share my pictures, only on a much bigger scale.
Yeah, here's
And I
a-
like every post you guys put up. I make sure I hit the like button every time you do it.
I send positive thoughts. So, two real questions.
Yeah.
One, how come rich people don't think this will affect them? You know what I mean? Like, every time I see it, it's always about the business side and stuff, but I don't understand. Like, they'll still die too, right?
Yeah. Keith, what business?
Like, I get that they're
you got to ask
like,
what
well-
business they're in. What business
Yeah.
are they in?
Yeah, are you talking about like the uber rich, like oil and
Yeah, right. Like,
people
that's
with
what I'm saying.
interests?
Like, the people, anybody who's trying to always stop, like, the
Yeah.
real information that comes out.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's always, it always seems like, oh, it's no big deal and this and that. And I get it. They're trying to make money, but at the same time, I would still think that, like, you're going to kill yourself.
But
when you
it
got
just-
more poker chips on the table, Keith, you can always outplay the hand no matter what. Like, so I think they're just playing the hand they're dealt, and then they're gonna play a better hand. Like, once we're all fucked, then they can, like, all right, well, now I'm gonna go buy the mountains, like, whatever. I don't think they give a shit
I
about
believe
people that
there
don't
is
have
a
money.
deep impact like rocket ship that's just going to take all the rich people away when we're all fucked.
That's made the most sense so far.
Thanks. I think no. You just got to look at it. And I said 50 to 100 years. Keith even said, "Well, screw that. Like, it's 50 to 100 years from now. They're not. They don't care. These people are like the lowest of the low. All they care about is money and making more of it and more of it and more of it. You got to think when an oil company goes into, say, like Alaska, where you don't know much information about how it's going to affect.
Right.
Then when you have to do an environmental study. So the cost of the amount of money that they're going to make from getting oil out of Alaska is in like the trillions, right? Over time, right? That's the perception. But the amount of money it costs to do an environmental study is maybe like $100,000 to $200,000. They will not put the money out for it because they know if that study goes wrong, which it always does for them, it's going to stop them from drilling. So they won't pay for that. So they're very cheap in that respect. Plus, it's all about money. I mean, they like Exxon Mobil came out and said, yeah, we've been like creating these quote unquote think tanks, climate change think tanks, to just basically debunk everything that's put out. There are bots on Twitter that as soon as you put the hashtag climate change and say climate change is real, they will come and attack you.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's insane. It's insane. It's nuts, and they'll argue forever. It's just these little bots that keep coming up with these stupid reasons why climate change is, natural, and it's just part of the regular thing.
So what you're saying is that robots are taking over?
Yes,
Skynet.
A little bit when they're controlling. Yeah. I love how Exxon came out and actually condemned Trump for like his leaving the Paris Climate Accord. Like they don't care.
No, they don't care.
So
they do care in a certain way because it affects their operations.
Right. So the other thing, I was just going to say, because I remember reading this a long time ago, was about, I don't know if it was an oil company or somebody like that, but basically it said, like you said, they're making trillions of dollars, say they make $1 billion in one day with like all this drilling, and they know that they're going to get fined for dumping all the shit into the ocean. It's just become like cost of business. Yeah. So they know the fine is like $1.5 million. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And they, basically they're signing the check while they're dumping the shit in the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there was a quote by a Shell, I think it was like a VP of Shell at one point when they were talking about drilling in Alaska. And they said, what are you going to do to prevent oil spills in Alaska? And he's like, nothing. That happens. Right. That happens in our business. There's oil spills. That's just the cost of business. And that's exactly what he said. And I don't think he knew he was talking to a reporter or something, because they don't mess up that bad. But that's essentially what he said, and it went viral, of course. And people are like, "Oh shit, they don't care. They really don't care."
And that's the worst part, is like, to what effect? All right, so it goes viral. Like to be honest with you, all the CEOs of every oil company are like, yeah, we're literally we don't give a shit if we dump all the oil in the world into the oceans as long as we're making money. And we're just, what are you going to do?
Well, part of the problem too is that it gets so diluted, right? Like, I'm not hearing this from Andrew. I'm hearing it from a fucking girl I went to high school with who's created some fading font and has a Sarah McLachlan song playing behind it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, fucking shut up. You don't know anything.
But you know what
you
really...
suck my dick behind the bleachers. Don't act like you're some fucking genius.
You played a very real card there, Keith.
There are times where
I've had sex, Andrew.
Yeah, I think it's a good answer. There are times where I just lose it on people because, like,
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, man. Like, how the fuck do you keep any sort of composure debating with the dumbest people in the universe, essentially? Well, and yet the most stubborn.
Well, sometimes they're not they're not that dumb. They read something online. So and so, Fox, as soon as they say, "Oh, I read this on Fox," I want to punch them in the face, right? That's sort of how, my inner Andrew is.
But it's not just Fox; it's the left side too. Like, the misinformation's everywhere. Sure. Whatever fits a narrative, right?
For sure. But it's when you talk to individual people, and it's like one day it's really hot, and it's like April. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, see, this is why I'm saying, like, global warming is just not it's just not real. Right. Look, it's always like, shut up, like, just shut up, and then every time they talk, shut up, like, stop it, let it be talk.
Because then that becomes favorable, and you're like, well,
yeah, it's just like, see,
it's not so bad. Got a nice warm April.
Yeah, or like when it was -40 a couple of years ago, and they're like, oh, it's kind of -40, like, what is it? They're talking about global warming. Like, I don't really get it. Are you kidding me? It's a polar vortex. It switched the wind patterns from the Arctic and brought it down to southern Ontario. Mm-hmm. This is climate change.
Right. That's yeah. Like,
this is what's happening.
A cold day is weather, not climate change.
And true story. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but a couple of years ago, I'm
gonna guess no.
There was this made news. There was a senator from Arkansas who brought in. It was during the winter. and he brought in a snowball on the Senate floor,
onto the
right?
table. I saw that.
And he said, look, I brought this from outside, and they talk about how NASA said it was he decided to say NASA was stupid. All the people at NASA are stupid. These are people who put people on the moon, for fuck's sake.
Debatable.
They're wrong.
Jackals, you fucking jackals. I was waiting for that the second he fucking said it. Sorry, Andrew, continue.
Then he basically said, they're not right because why is it so cold here?
Right.
And you look at the map, like the actual map of the last year. That was in 2015. It was at that time it was the hottest year. By the way, the last 3 years have been the hottest
Record
years.
highs,
Right.
But you look at the world and it's all red. To say that it's above normal. And then you look at sort of the northeast coast of the U.S. and the eastern coast of Canada, and it's cold. And there's a reason for that. And it's because it's messing up the climate patterns in the ocean, like the current patterns in the ocean, which is messed up the climate, right? So the oceans is what regulates the climate, and it's messing up that period. It's slowing this conveyor belt that sort of regulates that aspect. And he doesn't understand it because he's a stupid moron, this senator. And so he's talking about, oh, you know what? I've solved the problem. I brought a snowball onto the Senate floor. And I'm going to just throw it on the ground here, and I'm going to say I've just proved my point. Which was the funny thing was the very next day, one of the Democratic senators came up and said he had a digital map of what NASA had put together, and he talks about how they're the smartest people. Then he talks about how the top admirals in the Navy have said that climate change is the biggest threat, and then they go on with all the scientific societies and all this, and basically made the guy look like an ass.
You got to know there was
which
somebody
he was.
on his team that was like, ooh, he's like, no, I'm gonna go out there.
Yep.
I'm gonna show him the snowball.
Yeah.
I'm gonna smash it on the ground.
This is a
Case
good
closed.
idea.
If that doesn't work, I'm going to bring in letters to Santa.
What actually works though is that like you don't see the next day report that Andrew's talking about. You actually only remember the guy
of
with
course.
the snowball, right?
Yeah,
Because that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Right.
So
I don't know
you what?
I don't know which political party this guy belonged to, but I'm guessing he saw red on a map and he was overjoyed.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is like a part of my podcast. The next day, I looked at where he was getting his funding from, and guess. Like it's all super PAC, right? All oil super PAC, and you just follow the money.
Santa.
Yeah, and you look at any senator or any Republican that's advocating against climate change or that climate change is not real. They are backed by these oil companies. The head of EPA right now, who doesn't believe the EPA should be around,
Scott Pruitt. Right on.
Yeah, Scott Pruitt. This guy's a superstar. He was working for oil companies. Oil companies basically hired him when he was the district attorney to sue the EPA. He sued it like 12 times. Now he's
Amazing.
the head of the EPA.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, they have one secretary. What's his name? The guy from he used to be a governor from Texas. He's now the secretary of the energy department or whatever that was that has the energy department in there. But he forgot when he was running for president as a nominee. Rick Perry, he forgot the actual name of the department that he is now in charge of. They put him in charge of that department.
Breathtaking.
Drain that swamp, baby.
Literally.
And you know what that means? Do you know what that means, though? He's the head of the Department of Energy. He controls the nuclear arsenal of the U.S. He forgot it was there.
Yeah.
He forgot they had it.
There are
And
people
they put him in charge of it.
There are people actually in Ontario and like around in the Barrie area right now that are controlling like different parts of like, and they'll go and they'll comment on different social media platforms, like anybody that says anti-Trump or anti-Republican anything, or but just any world politics, and like they're not bots, but they're people that are getting paid, like, and they're everywhere, right? That different friend groups just to debunk anybody that's trying to like say like, look, watch these people, they're fucking dum-dums, man.
They are. Oh yeah, they're idiots.
Have scientists? Here's what I'm thinking. So, what if all the scientists formed something like a gang? gangs are scary. Like, if the Hells Angels were to like
just
start
wanna
telling
stop.
everybody,
Stop Keith is about to describe Captain Power.
no.
Captain
But I would
Planet
love
Planet
no.
Fierce.
See, because that everybody took that as a joke too. But if you guys went around and just started stabbing people saying stupid shit,
Fucking right.
I think everyone would be like, "Holy fuck, maybe we shouldn't be fucking with the
I
scientists."
think if Neil deGrasse Tyson was the leader of like an underground scientific mafia,
well,
fucking
he's
right.
black. Let's get someone. I'm not saying he's not a predominant member. I'm just saying putting him as the head is not a great way
Fair
to
enough.
start
All
with the red states.
He's probably
No, honestly, I think that's what they want. They want us to become.
They want you guys to stab
want us,
people?
Yeah, they want us to become terrorists because then they can label us terrorists and they can really
yeah.
start getting rid of us. Right? That's really what they want. I feel. The way I see it is almost like it's the sports analogy. You pay someone who maybe not that great of a scientist. You pay them a little extra money just to take out one of their top people.
right.
Right? You just
right,
go
right.
and give them a knee injury, right? Or
Yep.
hit him in the head so they can't speak anymore. And you pay him big money, he goes to jail, but then they got rid of like the big guy, who's
I got to start watching fucking science sports.
Yeah, man. Our spelling bees are amazing. It gets pretty wild out. I'll tell you that right now.
Andrew, I have a question.
Oh God.
Okay, so I know I joked about the moon landing myth and stuff, but I'm a huge space guy, and
Okay.
I see all the money that governments have put into space exploration, and also now private companies are putting into space exploration.
Yes.
Does it frustrate you that nobody is? Do you find the funding is pretty good right now? Do you find that people are putting money into the planet that we are living on, or are you frustrated that people are trying to now colonize Mars instead of fixing our planet?
Yeah.
Andrew,
Very legitimate
before
point.
you answer that, as a marine biologist, I think it's important that you answer this question. As I don't know if Bob's really thinking about all the water in space.
Well, that's the way I'm thinking is like I don't have a job on Mars, so I'm pretty
you're
much
boned, right?
I'm gonna stay here because I got nothing in Mars. Like
Andrew's going to be Wall-E.
Mars is a chunk of frozen water, guys.
It is, but I don't. Well, I mean, the way we warm this planet, who knows, right? We could make water out there. I don't know.
Are you frustrated by the attention that everybody's
for
putting
sure.
into space instead of
for sure.
like real heroes like you guys trying to fix what we broke?
Yeah, because the every conversation I have with colleagues is more like, oh, that would be great if we could do this. We could really protect this if we had the money, or we could really do a lot of great things if we had the money. Think about converting everything from fossil fuels to sustainable energy. Everybody's like, well, it costs too much. You just blew up a rocket that was supposed to go to Mars or that was supposed to go to outer space just to prove you could do it, and that cost you $3 billion. Do you know what we could do with like 300,000, let alone $3 billion for the ocean? Like it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, maybe you all get together, you hit play on Pour Some Sugar on Me and start earning some fucking money.
One fiver at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you guys need to work on the formula to making the richest kid give up his favorite toy. As soon as you can do that, you're going to be good, right? 'Cause
Yeah, no,
everybody
absolutely.
loves
Hey,
money.
We're working on celebrities. James Cameron is a big ocean
Yeah.
advocate. and
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
you haven't-
no, hey, I'm all for it. James Cameron should
Yeah.
lead my scientist gang.
As a
absolutely.
marine biologist, do you feel like Leo could have fit on that floating door in Titanic, or was? What's your theory?
As a marine biologist, I've never seen that movie.
yeah.
I've never seen it either, so thank you so much.
It was like an iceberg. Like they called it. It's like the ultimate
I've seen it
ego
like 12 times.
of humans.
I'm
saying,
watching it right now.
This ship is unsinkable, and it hits a piece of ice and it sinks like you've never seen before. And they
That
didn't
movie's
think
kinda
about saving
climate change.
everybody.
Andrew, do you have a Facebook? Like, do you have a personal Facebook account?
I do.
So, like,
Dave, make friends later, man.
do you ever go on and like see some of the like debunking myths? I know there's a big one right now about the fact that is the reef in Australia, the Great Barrier Reef, is it dying or is it not? Do you ever see that kind of shit and want to poke yourself in the face with a cheese grater?
Oh yeah, like I saw the Australian government, is very against the environment, by the way. they went out and they did like a puff piece. They wanted to show.
I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was in the Australian government, I would be too, because there's fucking snakes and spiders. Like every time you go outside the door in Australia,
every Australian is a criminal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame them.
That's
like
exactly why I don't
would hate
trust them
the
worth shit.
fuck out of outside too.
I hope Andrew's next thing is talking about how generalized comments are ruining things.
It's funny how everybody has ADHD in the world. They just keep getting distracted. No. But then what they did is they went out and like all these pieces came out saying that the Great Barrier Reef was bleached, and it was a big impact. It was huge. But then they wanted to bring tourism back, saying, "Hey, no, everything's fine." So they found the one piece of reef that was doing pretty well. And they did like a dive, and they did a whole little puff piece on TV, and they said, "Look, everything's fine." And then like you look at the Great Barrier Reef, and it's white. Like a lot of it's white. No, I'm not saying the whole thing is dead, or a lot of it won't come back
bleached
over
things
time.
too, and it's not pretty.
No, it's not. It's not like it was. It's not like it was.
The Nazis did the same thing.
That's all we heard. We just heard bleached, and every single one of us started thinking about assholes. Andrew's just thinking about the poor reef.
That's what the procedure is called. Right?
Speaking of
my reef
assholes,
bleached.
I spent a lot of my 20s suffering from starfish wasting disease.
Hey, Derek laughed. I forgot Derek was here. Hey, Derek.
I'm here. Hi, guys.
But
Derek, what about reefs and bleaches?
Yeah, no, I saw the same. Like, yeah, I kind of had a question about that, because I know it's like a big conspiracy theory right now. Like, oh no, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
it's not fine. It's definitely not fine.
Okay, good.
There's certain parts that are hit worse than others. Like the north is hit worse than others, but the south is doing okay. Whether it's
There's
all
some you
going to
don't hear
recover
often.
is going to take
Really?
decades. It's going to take decades. It won't be the same as it was, just a couple of years ago, because it seems like it's getting worse. We haven't changed anything.
Right.
Right.
We haven't done anything. We did this. You got to remember, like this. Everybody's celebrating this whole Paris Agreement, which is great. It's wonderful that 192, 191, depending if the U.S. is going to stay in.
Most of them.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's like happy that everybody agreed that we have to do something about climate change. But you got to remember, it's a voluntary thing, right? They don't have to do it, and the only way they're enforcing it is if you don't follow what you said you were going to do. People are going to embarrass you online.
So
That's
here's
the
what I
only
think most
enforcement.
Americans are thinking right now is, as a marine biologist, why are my tax dollars, why can't you save the Great Barrier Reef, Andrew? Because I'm paying tax dollars so that the Great Barrier Reef can be around forever, and how come you can't save it right now?
Exactly.
P.S. He's on welfare.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is like the U.S. is the second highest per capita polluter of carbon, like greenhouse gas, and they're wondering, well, why do we have to pay for other countries' damage? Because you caused the damage. You helped cause the damage. There are people, and not many, but there are people like villages on islands, very remote islands, that are being relocated. After, centuries of living on these islands, they're being relocated because the sea level's rising too much. Right, so
Well, I
they're
can't
losing their
imagine
homes.
bombs going off all the time is really great for the
Yeah, that's not
environment
good.
either, is it?
No, and I always love like how they're like, oh, North Korea tested another missile and it landed in the sea. I'm like, Christ, really?
Right.
Like, come on. Like, there's got to be some other place you can put it,
Maybe, but see, again, if you guys were a gang, then every time that happens, you go to a person's house who has kids, and when they put their kid in the bath, you just take a little AA battery, you cut it open, and you drop it into the bathtub. And you just say, yeah, well, it's fine. This is just this tit for tat. Yeah. Now you understand what this is.
Now you know how it feels. Yeah, you kill our little
Go
fish.
ahead, wash his hair.
Yeah. You know what? It's starting. It's starting to make sense to me, Keith. I like it. Like I said,
Nobody's
I'm
ever
taking notes.
on board with the gang at the beginning.
Yeah, no.
You're lobbying really hard to be the head of this gang right now, Keith.
Are you kidding me? I'd be the single fucking worst. Because I'm stupid. Every time somebody says everything's okay, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say,
so
if somebody
go ahead.
If somebody says something's okay, like in the ocean,
right, it's not.
well,
yeah.
it's not necessarily perfect, but it's getting better. Like there are things that are getting better.
Yay!
Right,
I have been excited for this part of the podcast.
There are things that are getting better. For instance, off Cape Cod, there's a gray seal population that went basically from endangered to now it's like there's a ton of them. But then people and we're like scientists are like, yippee, it actually worked. We recovered this population.
Can we start fishing them again?
Well, then everybody's like, well, when are we going to start hunting them? Because I think they're eating all the fish that I want to eat. And then you're like, fuck. Like, come on, man. Like, this is a success. They're like, no, it's eating my fish. And it's like, nah, you're right. But still, that's not cool. And then it's like when you guys saw probably on the news the other day, all the great white sharks that were around California. Mm-hmm. That's a huge success. That's a nursery area. That's actually an area. Those are all juvenile sharks. Those 5 to 7 foot juvenile sharks. Like you saw that there's a video of
soup for everyone.
Such a monster. Such a monster.
You're such an asshole. But there's, you threw me off.
Savage. That is savage.
He does that.
But it's nice to see that because that's a nursery area and it always has been a nursery area, and then we're starting to see those sharks coming back. But it's done because of policies that, like, a number of different policies that were put in place back in the 1970s that actually allowed that to happen. We had a fisheries policy that put in the U.S. Those fisheries came back because they were protected. You had the Marine Mammal Protection Act that brought the sea lions back that also benefited from the fish growing, so they got to eat it. And then what eats sea lions? Great white sharks. They came back because those were protected. So all of those three things that have been in place for 40 years, 50, 60 years have actually done well. Right?
Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it, Andrew? That there's not that instant gratification. Like it takes 30 or 40 years to see payoff from these fucking policies. Like,
and then you get a guy like an administration like Trump who says, they've taken away the gill net ban off the coast of California that used to entrap all the whales. He's taking that back, saying, you know what, the population's fine. We can bring that back. It's fine because we're not gill netting, you dumb idiot. Yeah, like that's he just doesn't get it. Like somebody's whispered in his ear, "I want to do this. Can you make it happen?" Of course I can make it happen. I'm the most powerful man in the universe.
He doesn't get good night moon. You know what I mean?
Doesn't get good night moon.
I think it's a good time for all of us to maybe make an admission to Andrew, like maybe have a confession to a marine biologist. Like, so I'll start it off anyway. Andrew, I'd like to formally apologize that every time I go into a large body of like fresh water or salt water, I immediately take a piss.
Is that wrong?
I'm sorry. I just needed to get it off.
That's not bad though.
No,
is it?
but like I don't think
diluted.
Oh, is that not good, Andrew? I legit need to know this. Is that not good?
It gets diluted, but if you do it,
I like it all the time. It's like hard for me to stop.
But if you do it and there's like a coral around.
Yeah,
it's pretty much a dick move.
All right, so like there were
literally.
So if I'm at an aquarium and I start pissing in the fish tank,
I don't think they'll like that.
Okay.
It's not a big dick move, though, right? It's just a little dick move.
A little dick move, yeah. But like the people won't like that. I think the kids, especially the parents of the kids.
And when I was at Ripley's Aquarium, they said much to the same thing. All right, but I just wanted to say sorry.
At least they confirmed my answer. I'm glad.
Dave just wanted to make sure this was backed by science.
Dave just thinks that he met Andrew working at Ripley's, and he's like, I think he was him.
He was
but
really.
Let's see if he gives me the same answer.
Yeah, that guy was really mad.
Dave is going to need you to repeat this in court.
I'll testify as an expert witness.
Anybody else got a marine confession they wanted to go up?
Well, I didn't think so until you said peeing in the ocean was bad.
I'll pop in here, and it's stupid or whatever, but I felt guilty about it for a long time. When I was in college, which was, 20 years ago, 15 years ago? Whatever it was. I had a beta, which is my first
Obviously
confession.
a math major.
And I put it in a windowsill, and it was a really hot day, and it died from heat. And I felt so bad, and I came back to my room, and I tried to like shock it back with cold water into life, and it didn't happen, and I felt really bad about that. So I'm sorry.
That's a nice one, Bob. Thank you for sharing.
How do you feel about that, Andrew? Like people taking, sea life and putting it into their homes for their amusement?
I'm fine with it. I actually don't mind because it's a teaching lesson. I actually have a saltwater tank. I only put in like captive raised or tank raised. So I don't put in wildlife
like ones that you get from your office at the ocean.
Yeah. I don't just take those guys. Especially after watching Finding Nemo, because that made me feel bad.
But you could because it's free. Like you're out there every day. I'm just saying.
yeah. You could, and we do take. There's times where we have taken samples.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, samples.
Right.
Yeah.
Quote unquote samples.
We call them samples, but they're
like Dave takes samples of beer from the tap at the keg, basically.
As a marine biologist who grew up in Ontario and lived in Ontario for a bit, I did work at an aquarium store, and I do have a story of probably one of the dumbest people I've ever met. There was a guy who bought a saltwater fish.
Here's how he met Ryan.
There was a guy who bought a saltwater fish from one of our salespeople, and he was excited about it. I remember seeing him leave the store. He came back within an hour. Comes back yelling, like screaming, being like, "You sold me the worst fish ever." And I was just like, "Well, I don't understand like what happened." So we go through like the whole problem solving. Like, did you test your water? Did you do this? Did you do that? I'm like, what was the salt content in the water? And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, what did you measure? How much salt you put in? Like after you put in salt, did you measure what? There's a number that it should hit. There's a range." And he said, "Well, no, I didn't measure." I said, "Okay, well, how much did you put in? How many cups did you put in?" He's like, "Cups?"
Right.
He goes, "Oh no, I put in a couple of teaspoons." I said, "What? How big's the tank? Is it like a 5-gallon tank? You shouldn't be putting a fish in a 5-gallon tank." He said, "No, it's like a 90-gallon tank, which is that's like a 4-foot tank."
Swimming pool.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, okay, so you only put a couple teaspoons. That's probably why it died. And I said, like, did you get like which salt was it? Which bucket did you buy from here? He's like, well, what do you mean bucket?
No.
I said, and that's when where the anger came from for me. And
you're like Batman whose parents were fish that got killed.
Exactly. And I calmly said, "Get out." And he was like,
"Good
what?"
for you.
Yeah, I was just like, "Get the fuck out. Don't ever come back."
Did you say it like this though? Get out.
I wish I did. But it was just like, I was just like, get the fuck out. I don't ever come here. We're never selling you another fish because of your ignorance.
God bless you.
It was terrible because he came in yelling at me and all this and all. And he left and I followed him out to the parking lot yelling at him because I said, "I've had enough of you."
I felt so bad about my story that I've never bought a fish again. Like everybody thinks I'm joking, but for real, I was devastated by that one.
But I think that's good. I think that's a good thing in a way because that.
Oh Jesus! He's the Joker. He's not Batman.
I'm an animal lover. I mean, it was crushing.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I don't like. It's a beta fish. I don't know. I don't like beta fish.
Andrew did not want to finish that thought.
Right. It was bad that I even had one. I completely understand
They're
that.
basically sold to die. Like
I know.
Right.
They're usually sold to kids who will literally. I feel like they're like the kids that torture these animals are like future serial killers, and they're basically
what's up?
to die. So it tells me a lot about you.
Yeah.
It tells me a lot about
P.S.
you.
Bob smoked salmon is to die for.
I won't even eat fish.
Do you eat seafood?
I do eat seafood. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know how that worked. You know what I mean? Like, I know veterinarians won't eat dogs and stuff. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good rule. I feel that's a good rule.
I've also got a couple beluga steaks. I don't know what those are. Should I eat those?
I'm gonna say no.
Chicken salad. Caesar salad. Caesar salad.
Hey everybody, you know what? We've decided that we're going to break this one up into 2 parts. There's so much great stuff here, and Andrew just has so much knowledge on how despicable we are as humans that I feel like we should really just keep all the information. I didn't feel right editing any of it out. So that's going to do it for part 1. Hopefully you guys learned something like I did. And stick around for part 2 because I don't want to give away any plot twists, but dolphin rape. We'll see you next time, everybody.
This is a story about a guy named Noah. Got to go build me a boat, and you take 2 animals of every kind. Make it a boy and a girl, it'll be just fine. So Noah did this and he did not complain, even though he had to do it in the pouring rain. Problem came around when Noah ran out of room. Did the only thing you know that he could do. He said, I know, but the rhino with the horse, I mean, it's not like they could have intercourse. When the lights got low and the sea got rocky, the rhino mounted the horse like he was a jockey. Blame God for the unicorn. Blame God for the unicorn. Blame God for the unicorn. It wasn't Noah's fault. So God walks in and he's like, what the fuck? I'll give you a simple job and you screwed this up. Noah said, I'm sorry and it's not that bad. If this is rainbow and this shit is plaid, God just give you a minute cause I need to think. Got half a mind to make this whole thing sink. Next thing you'll try to say the beaver fucked the duck. That's when no one knew that he was out of luck. Cause when God turned around, he got a sour puss. He saw the motherfucking dark-billed platypus. You blame God for the platypus. You blame God for the platypus. Blame God for the platypus. It wasn't Noah's fault. You blame God for the unicorn. You blame God for the unicorn. Blame God for the unicorn. It wasn't Noah's fault. Blame God.